everyone, welcome to another episode of the Risking It All podcast. And today, joining myself and John, we've got Stuart Davie, who is the founder and owner of Solar Dynamix and Paradigm Sales Coaching. Is that
Sales
right?
Academy.
Paradigm Sales Academy. There, I've made a mistake already.
Do your research.
But Stuart, I've known you for a long time. You were actually the very first person I worked with in solar and battery storage.
Okay.
Over 4 years ago, believe
For
it
your
or not.
sins.
Aye, over 4 years ago. And thank you for coming in.
That's no problem. I know you've been trying to get me on for a
I've
while.
been trying to get you.
And I was coasting it.
He's been swerving me.
Aye, definitely.
But I'm absolutely buzzing to hear about your story, because I know a lot about your business, but I feel like I don't know half of it.
Aye.
And you've done Classmates, so
Aye, thanks.
let's kick off, right? Before we
Okay.
get right into the renewable sphere,
Okay.
right? Let's kick off with just learning about you growing up, right? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What was your early years like?
I was born in the Rotten Row in Glasgow.
Right?
My mum always tells me the story of when she was walking up that hill.
Yeah.
The big hill that we all know about when she was pregnant. I think that's how I was premature, to be honest. I stayed most of my life in Uddingston. Went to Uddingston Grammar, which you will obviously know a lot of people that you went to school with.
I'm a fellow Uddingston boy, yeah.
Aye.
Didn't quite go to the grammar, I went the other way, but
Aye.
I do.
But it was good times. Grew up with my mum and dad, my only child, spoiled rotten. So Uddingston Grammar was great for us. Really, really enjoyed school, excelled at school, apart from failing my speaking exams for French and German because I didn't go in to do the actual exam itself.
Right.
But in terms of my upbringing in school, I excelled.
Oh, good. And so Uddingston Grammar was your secondary school, wasn't
Aye.
it? What primary school did you go to?
Aikenhead.
Aikenhead, yeah.
Aye.
I'm familiar with that. That's kind of Burtonshaw.
Burkey.
There you go. Get it right?
Aye. No, it was good. That was a good school as well.
Aye.
It's good starting point. Again, I was pretty quiet at school.
Hard to believe that now, John.
Aye.
Oh my goodness.
I don't shut up.
Aye.
I don't shut up, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Aye, and so you quite enjoyed school. Was there anything that you liked? Any subjects that you gravitated to? PE.
Aye, so I played football from a very young age. So I played obviously at Calder Braes with Johnny Fallon.
Right, yeah.
I know him. Played at Calder Braes, and then I went to Motherwell
Right.
when the Pro Youth League just started.
Nice.
Obviously involved with the school teams. We had quite a lot of characters from the View Park area.
Yeah.
Some really good players. Some of the boys went on to have good, reasonable careers in football.
What was that like, Stuart? Because every young kid wants to be a footballer, right? Mm-hmm. And you were obviously good enough to be in Motherwell's setup.
Aye.
Was that your ambition when you were young? You wanted to play football?
It was my ambition. It was something that I think everybody at our age, at our school, wanted to be a professional footballer. My team was Rangers. I always wanted to play with Rangers. Obviously, that never happened. Hence, I'm sitting here, Barry. But it was something that I always wanted to do. But things changed throughout the years as well. I was probably a lot better when I was carefree. Didn't have any. Didn't care what MD says. But as I got older, I started to worry about what people thought, what people were thinking of us, and then that affected my performance on the field.
Right, aye. So let's get into that a wee bit, because it is true. When you're young,
Fearless.
all you care about is kicking the ball.
Aye.
When did that change? Was it in high school? Started creeping in?
Was it Calder Braes Boys Club? Played with them, and then I went to Motherwell Pro Youth. Done pretty well at Motherwell, and then it came to the time where I'd left. I was about to leave school, and you could go on. It was a YTS back then,
right?
So you were going to be taken on full time, and I wasn't taken on. It was Billy Davies. It was the manager at that time, first team manager, and I never got taken on. So I then went. I was scrambling around, phoning up. This is crazy, right? I was phoning up clubs to try and get a trial. I remember I phoned up Bobby Jenks. Bobby Jenks at the time was at Aki's. So I ended up going and doing left school, done 2-year YTS, 55 quid a week, loving life. In the palace with the HP finance car with the BMW key at the bar trying to order drinks as if I was Billy Big Boss on 55 quid a week. So I'd done that at Aki's. That was a good time. It was a time where they were in a lower division.
Right.
I think it was Ali Dawson that was the manager at that time, the first team. And then Chris Hillcoat took over. But Aki's was very different then to what it is now. They just moved into a new stadium at that point. I can remember it was Sunderland that came in to open it up. But I wasn't in the first team. So I played 16s, 18s, played a few reserve games. And then I didn't get taken on after that. So the disappointment in Motherwell, and we'll come on to this probably later on, that's been the catalyst throughout my whole business career.
Right.
To no fail again. Because failing, what people need to understand is failing is part of the process.
Yeah.
But when you're young, when all you want to do is play football, and it doesn't happen, it had a major impact on my mental health. Not in a devastating way, but it was always that doubt that was sitting in the back of my head. Can I do this? Can I be successful? I've already failed at being a footballer, so how can I learn for that so that moving forward that I can be the person that I want to be?
And did you have inspirational people round about you, Stuart, kind of helping you through that football journey in the early days, or was it just your own determination just to keep plugging along and trying to make it happen? With
the football, yeah, I had some really good people. This guy, an English guy, Paul Smith, he was the manager at Motherwell at the time. Then I had guys like Paul McDonald at Aki's, really good. Chris Hillcoat at Aki's, boys Scott Struthers at Aki's. I think he's left now, but there was people like that. I had reasonable, good people around me.
Yeah.
But it's a total different minefield, football, back then, and I'm sure it's not really changed any now. It's totally different to what business is. And although I was in control of my own destiny in terms of football, I just worried too much about what people thought, and my confidence used to get hit if I made a bad pass or I crossed the ball into the stands or something.
Right.
But it's taught me a lot of valuable lessons for life, and I'll always relate back to that if I'm going through tough times, to think that a setback or a failure doesn't stop you from being successful.
Yeah.
You just need to learn from it.
That's a good point. And obviously you mentioned under 16s, under 18s, so you're still a young guy at this point.
Yeah.
And you've had first rejection at Motherwell, second one at Aki's, so you're probably about 18, 19 at this time.
Aye.
So it's quite a lot for a young person to kind of stomach at that age. And obviously looking back on it, you speak quite, confidently now around how it's helped shape you, but do you remember in that moment, so maybe thinking around Aki's, so the second time this has happened?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Devastating. Devastating. But it happened again.
Right, all right, there's a third time.
Yeah, listen, there's a few times. So after Aki's, I had two choices: either go to work or get a job somewhere, or I try and pursue it and try and make it happen. So I went up on trial for, where did I go? Up to Dunfermline. It was Jimmy Calderwood and Jimmy Nichol that were in charge at that time. So I was up there for probably 6 months. So I was staying in digs, or I would get the bus up for Glasgow Buchanan Street up to Dunfermline and then walk down to the stadium. Really enjoyed it. But ends up I didn't get signed. So I was up there for months. I stayed up there for a couple of months, and then I was travelling the other times. I was playing with our youth team, and then I just never got signed. So again,
That was the third one.
You're building yourself up. Come on, I can do this. But again, it was that little voice in the side of the head, the self-doubt. And it's the self-doubt that killed us. And that in respect to my playing career, because I wasn't mentally strong enough to handle the hurdles or really apply myself to say, I don't care what MD thinks, I'm going to do me.
So having experienced that and just exactly what you're talking about just now, and that theme, you know, any young boys and girls listening to this particular podcast, what kind of advice would you give, you know, a young person who's trying to do what you were trying to do, and you know they get set back with some knockbacks and some disappointing?
I think what's so prevalent just now in any walk of life, whether it's your personal life or business, is your mindset. You need to be working on your mindset. We'll come on to that later. Because I do stuff now that primes my mind in the mornings before I even get up. Affirmations is something that I believe in. Showing gratitude. But for any young person that's going to get into football, you need to be ruthless. You need to focus on number one and don't care what anybody else says, any outside noise. You just focus and you live the life, because it's a cutthroat game. It's a cutthroat game, and you need to be all in. You can't be going to Hamilton Palace on a Thursday night when you're training on Friday. You can't be going to, what was that nightclub in Glasgow? The Shed.
Right.
But there's no Carbon. Was it Carbon?
Aye, Carbon was one, aye.
Carbon was up, but that was up the top of the town, next to the Shed. It's up that way, wasn't it?
Where was the Shed? That was in Shawlands.
Aye, so I went to all these places, and I think it was Trash.
Right.
That's the place. Right. You used to get all the Celtic and Rangers players up there. So you thought you had a ticket. And then when I went to the Hamilton Palace, because I was younger at that point, so I must have been about 16, I remember one time, you're like this, Barry. You're like this. I remember one time we used to dress up smart. I had a cream suit on.
The black shoes, you were only allowed in with the black shoes.
A cream suit, gold tie, hair blonde, spikes, and I was at Aki's at the time, and I went in, I get knocked back, all dressed up. I was home for 12 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? Used to go to the cartel before it. But you need to focus on what you want and give it everything. That's all I would say. Don't care what MD says.
Yeah. So I mean, that mindset thing, you know, I don't know, you tell me, Stuart, but was there many coaches back then talking to you about your mindset or your mentality or anything like that?
I think it's really came on over the last few years. I think I'm 40 now, so that's a long time ago. I think you were just left it, just expected to just be the person that you want to be. But even then, I don't suffer from mental health issues, right? I want to make that clear. But it's just a wee bit more guidance I think I needed, and more application from my side. Yeah. Because if I look back now, I didn't deserve to make it. So how can you expect to make it if you're no all in? And that's the same in business now. If you're no all in, you'll not be successful. Yeah. In my opinion, anyway. Yeah. That's a very good point, and we'll get on to your business career very soon. But I just want to ask you a couple of questions about, obviously, playing with these sort of clubs, Motherwell, Aki's, Dunfermline. You know, they're good clubs in Scotland. So you must have either been in a same team or played against some right good football players back then. Aye, we did. I remember. Who was the most impressive player you played with or against growing up? Well, there was boys at Motherwell that were in the team that made good careers. David Clarkson, I still see now and then up in Fairnaghy or Shaw when he's away playing golf. So David Clarkson went on to have a decent career. Yeah. At Motherwell, I think he went down to Bristol as well. Played against Scott Brown, Aidan McGeady. Aidan McGeady was young then, honestly, frightening. Aye, brilliant. Frightening. But the Hibs, Rangers and Celtic teams were the best back then. Yeah. I remember the opening game when the Pro Youth Leagues just started at Motherwell. We're playing down the Palace Grounds Park against Celtic. We beat 11-0. Aye, must have had some good players then. We had a decent team back then. Aye. We had a decent team as well. But aye, some great players. Was there anybody that you seen back then that you just thought, like, early on, they are definitely going to make it? Aidan McGeady. Aye, him. Aye. He was stick thin back then because he was really a young boy. But he's younger than me. Aye, he was frightening. can't get near him. I remember we were at Motherwell, told a boy called Nicky Patterson. He went on played career as well. I think he went over to America. He was told to mark him, and I tried to snap him. There's no chance.
Can they get near him?
No, I can't get near him. But he's probably the best I've played against.
Ability wise, well, he had a brilliant career to be fair.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
Aye. At least you didn't have to mark him.
No, I was on the bench. Anyway, it happened.
So obviously the initial part of your young adult life was around pursuing football, and you know you didn't quite get there. So what was the next step? What did you move on to do next?
Job, which was crazy. So see where Power Gen used to be. So see where your office is.
Yeah.
In Tannockside.
Yeah.
It was up there.
Right.
So, God, I remember the salary back then, 15 grand. And it was near a full-time contract. It was, what's a company that do it's kind of placements. So it's a placement.
Right. Yeah.
And then you can, a deco.
Right. There was a few of them about. Was that in a call centre?
Aye. So it was up the back of the estate that you're at. So it was Power Gen back then, so that was selling gas and electricity.
Right.
So I very, very quickly, because I can talk for Scotland, excelled in that. And looking back now, apart from my businesses now, that's the best business I've ever, best job I've ever had.
Right. So was that your first job in sales?
First job in sales.
So that was also your first job after football?
Aye.
And just thinking back, because I know you quite well, and we'll come on to what you do now, right? And obviously you've got a Paradigm Sales Academy as well, so we know you've got a passion for sales.
I have, aye.
Was that born straight away with that job?
I think it was, for me, it was a second chance to take control and really do something with my life, to be honest. And obviously we'll come into the hurdles and all that and the ups and downs of life, but it was, honestly, I loved it. See, if I could do that now, I probably could actually, but if I could do that kind of job now and make that a business, then I would.
And before you applied for that job, Stuart, right? Did you look at that job spec and say, I love that? Or did it just kind of naturally happen that something came up and you thought, I'll give it a go?
It just happened. Aye, it just happened. I never had any aspirations to go into sales.
Right.
But when I was in the first day, I knew straight away, that's about me.
Aye.
Right.
Talk shit.
Aye.
But having a process for me in sales is important, right? I might not be great at writing things down, but I've got it in my head. And it's the same process I used back then to what I use now to an extent. Obviously, I've got better at the process and I've added things to the process, but that was the catalyst getting me into sales, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that first job.
I really enjoyed it.
And it's interesting you say that because, I mean, sat here and spoke to quite a few people now, and a lot of their first moves and a lot of their first sort of introductions into either sales or operations, whatever they love, they just fall into it.
Aye.
Like, it's not like everyone's got this big master grand plan, like, I'm going to carve out my sales career. You dip your toe in and go, holy shit, I love this.
I'm a big believer everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And that was my calling back then. And it still is today. It still is. It's what I'm passionate about is sales. All the other stuff I'm not very good at, if I'm honest. But sales is what I excel in. And I think if you enjoy something, then it's no like work. It's no like you're working.
It's actually refreshing that you're actually saying that, out loud, because a lot of people still kind of have that sales, issue.
No.
I'm not in sales. I'm in account management or account director. That type of thing. But sales is sales, right?
Aye.
And if you can be up and honest about what you do and embrace it, I think it's just healthy and it just makes you more passionate and you're not getting embarrassed and you don't hide about it. Hide behind that.
I've never hid from what I'm not good at.
Right.
Because I think it's better to be transparent with people, and you can only fluff stuff so far. If you're honest and you're straightforward and say, look, this is what I'm good at, this is what I need to get better at, then you'll gain people's respect So it's like one of the old ones. If you don't know the answer, tell the customer you don't know the answer and find out, rather than try and sales flannel to get round it, because you'll just be caught at it.
Yeah. So
just be transparent, and then everybody knows where they stand with you. That's the way I kind of think about things anyway.
Very sensible, to be honest. We grapple with that quite a bit in the marketing industry, where we're like, we've definitely left probably hundreds of thousands of pounds on the table by just telling people the truth around, like, we don't know if this will work, but this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Whereas in a lot of other businesses in that sphere, you'll see it, give us £1, they'll give you 100,000 back, and they get all the business. But I really gravitate to that message. I think that's really
important. There's no longevity on that, because what you'll see is companies will come, they'll do business, and then they'll fold because of overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah, definitely. And thinking back to job number 1, right? So right into the sales. Was that outbound sales?
Outbound, aye.
Outbound sales, and that's not an easy gig, by the way. I've done a bit of outbound sales for a few years when I get into it, and
British Gas.
British Gas. I was selling kitchen appliance insurance, and I know it was tough, man.
But that's where. So back then, British Gas was where people were making some crazy money.
Definitely.
At British Gas, but what I found at PowerGen, honestly, like, the commission was mental.
Yeah.
The commission was absolutely crazy. So you were on a low basic salary, but it was top end commission you were making, like 2-3 grand a month. Back then it was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Still is a reasonable amount of money. But that was what really sparked the fire in me.
And do you think that was because, you could see that your effort was immediately resulting in money?
Aye, performance based.
So the performance, that's where you were gravitating
But that's when the seed was planted, that if you apply yourself, that you can make money through sales. So see, regardless of the salary, right, and I've got a big bee in my bonnet about this, right, see if you back yourself in sales, see the basic salary, it doesn't really matter to an extent, because what you find now is that people will hold on and have that safety blanket with a basic salary, where if somebody is strictly sales, I personally think it should be on performance-based commission on the deals. Now, the days have came and gone, right? So everybody's looking for salaries now.
Right.
But to get good people now, you need to pay big salaries. It's just the way that it is. But I was watching there's a guy on that I watch, James Milner, I think his name is, the American guy, he's a sales coach. And Bowen approached him about giving him a £1 million salary a year to sell jets or whatever it is. But he says he doesn't want the £1 million salary. He wants the commission percentage of the deal.
Yeah. Now,
to me, that's you backing yourself.
Yeah.
That's not having this comfort blanket. And listen, for mortgages, I get it. We need to have a basic salary. But for me, back then, it wasn't so much about that 15 grand. It was about how much money that I can make by applying myself and being the best sales guy in that company. And that's exactly what I did.
Brilliant. And obviously the performance thing really gravitated to you. And before we got on to your next job, right,
Aye.
was because this is your first proper run at full-time employment.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that opened up your eyes to that sort of working environment?
Just the laughs you used to get.
Yeah.
It's the call centre mentality. I remember when you're closing deals, right? So you had to get them verified. So there's maybe 100 odd people in this call centre, right? All different teams. And when I used to close deals back then, I still do this today. I'm standing up, I'm walking about, because you had the headsets and the big wire. Right? So you're walking about, and people were watching because they knew you were about to close a deal, right? This is where excitement builds, right? And you can see I'm getting a bit excited when I talk about it, right? Because it's really loving it. And what you used to do is, when you were about to close the deal, so you got the customer to commit to go ahead, you put your hand up, right? So you'd be standing up with your hand up, and everybody's shouting in the office, "Verifier! You're this customer!" No, I'm telling you, top of their voice is shouting. So you need to take them through the terms and conditions of the contract, right? Then you pass them over to Colette, I think it was Colette Marshbank and wee Anne, can't remember her second name, and they used to plug in and go through the questions relating to verifying the deal. And then once she came off, that was you. You'd walk up to the board, boom, gas and lecky, 25 gas and lecky, because it could be anything.
Yeah.
Because what you were doing back then is you were phoning businesses to obviously reduce the prices with maybe Npower, British Gas, Scottish Power, whatever tariff they're on, and you were paid based on how many. So if it's just one supply number, that's just one deal. But some of the places used to get were like 20, 30, 40 metres in them. So you were paid by the supply, the NPAN number.
Okay.
And then you used to have gas, take over their gas as well. So you could be selling to businesses that's maybe like flats.
Yeah.
Where you could be getting 20 gas, 20 electricity deals, and you were paid on each one. So honestly, I loved that job. And I had some really good people to look up to be honest with you. There was some really top performers in sales. A guy, Craig Hamilton, and Lovey Poorwell at the time were the top boys. Everybody else was all right, but they were the top. I think Craig especially was the top guy in the company. And then yours truly.
So what you said was at the very, very start is your first day in that job, you thought, love it, right? Now, I can imagine you arriving, a young person arriving in that kind of environment. And it'd be very processed and systematic, and this is a script, and this is what you do, and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't seem to be your personality, or am I wrong? So
you're wrong.
How did that happen?
I found my own way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I learned for Craig especially, because Craig was unbelievable, and people were like, how's he getting so many sales? But it was because it was relationship based. It wasn't going all in attack on sales. It was all about building a relationship, where that's key to doing business. Because if you're building a relationship, you're building rapport with customers. You're not really talking about the sale until later. So I think people buy people at the end of the day, and whether you're over the phone or face to face, it's not really any different. I don't believe anyway, because you can still build rapport over the phone over time, or even in short periods of time as well if you ask the right questions.
Yeah, and that last point is a really important one, I think, when it comes to sales, and we'll kind of get into this a bit later on, but ask the right questions.
Aye, and listen.
Aye, there you go.
But you're guiding them. You're guiding people through a process without them really realising it, to be honest with you. But I've been doing it that long that sometimes, like, you don't realise that you're doing it. Like, if I'm selling you something, you wouldn't realise that you've been sold to until you're paying by bank card.
That'd be the easiest sale you'd ever have in your career.
Honestly,
I'm not allowed to reply to emails that come through offering us stuff anymore.
Many charities you signed up for at the door.
Don't. Steph only let me answer the door if it's a canvasser.
But the thing is they say that like salespeople are the easiest people to sell to as well.
Yeah.
Because I buy an impulse. I've got ADHD, right? So something could come into my head and then I'll just go and buy it.
Yeah.
And I've made some mistakes, some expensive mistakes in doing that because I'm so impulsive. But I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until maybe last year.
Right.
So I've lived all my life. I've always been fidgety. I've always been a hurry millionaire. I've always been very impulsive. But I went to get privately diagnosed because as my business was growing, the pressure grows.
Right.
And that's when I found it difficult to kind of find balance. But it's a superpower.
Right, so you've learned to adapt to that. And,
aye, definitely.
And I think, what I'm going to go back to your timeline and start going through how you get, your next jobs and how you got to Solar Dynamix. But before we do, I want to get into that ADHD, if that's all right with you, because for me, I've heard a lot of people saying, I feel like I've got it, and then some people say, I think I've got it as well. But I think a lot of people do. And
I think people have got traits. I can tell somebody's got ADHD. Mostly.
You'll be able to identify that, and
similar characteristics.
And how do you manage that?
Well, it's a long story. So, short version of it is, so as I said, as I was growing the business over the last maybe couple of years, starting to really, when they say struggle, I don't like using that word, but I was finding challenges where I was up or down.
Right.
Or I was being too impulsive with stuff. So I thought will come into my head with business, boom, it's done. Where sometimes I will think through things, I'll not tell people out loud because everything's in there. I don't write anything down apart from like my mantras, my goals and all that. I don't do it. I'll come on to that later on. But it was a difficult time. So it was a difficult time. So I had to go, I went and get privately diagnosed because the NHS were taking ages.
Yeah.
I know they're busy. Hats off to the NHS, save a lot of lives, but for me, I just impulsive again, wasn't what to wait. So enough. I went private, and it was probably the worst mistake I made.
Right,
okay. And I'll tell you why. So I went private, diagnosed me straight away, ADHD, high functioning ADHD, which I kind of had an idea because Google's a horrible thing sometimes. Oh. I've diagnosed myself when I walk in that place. But I went there, they diagnosed me, and they says medication, right? So this is my idea of it, right? And so it might work for some other people. I tried it, honest to God, like I couldn't function on that.
Right.
I would have to have it was tablets. Can't remember what they're called, but I took them, and I was as high as a kite. I couldn't talk. I couldn't look at people. I couldn't. Honestly, like fit. Like, I wasn't fit. I felt numb, to be honest with you. But then I was like, then later on, it was just constant. I just couldn't function on them. So I tried them for 2 weeks, and then I just came off them.
Right.
And I thought, because I read too much into it, and all I used to talk about is my ADHD, right? Nobody really gives a shit, right? But I was so engrossed in the whole thinking of ADHD that I kind of lost myself as well. I lost myself. I lost who I was because all I was thinking about is this is detrimental to me. Why am I like this? Why am I so impulsive? And I started beating myself up about it. And then it came to the point where I had a kind of low patch in my mindset because it was affecting me so much because I was reading too much into it. Mm-hmm. Until I sat down one day and I think I was watching something online. This is the benefits of YouTube and all that, right? And somebody came on. It was just a split, one of the shorts. It's a superpower because it's got me to where I am now. I just need to be probably more organised than most people. To-do lists, need to do to-do lists, or I'll not get things done. And I say that now, I still struggle with that now.
Yeah.
It's having structure.
Yeah.
I've got structure in my sales process, but see everything else, it's organised chaos.
Yeah. But you found that by yourself, you know, by saying you've done kind of your own research and maybe by default, by accident, you've came across that clip.
Yeah.
And something just went, oh, right, okay, let's do that. But it's you know, it is a huge big, you know, issue.
Yeah.
And people like yourself, you know, perhaps don't realise it, don't want to appreciate it, don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, it can be absolutely used to your advantage. And how many entrepreneurs, you know, biographies do you read? They have that.
Aye. And
they have just absolutely flipped it and used it to their complete advantage. Not ignored it, just used it.
I think the key for me is that I'm super, super focused on the things I like doing.
Yeah.
Right.
See everything else.
Yeah.
Throw it to the window. But it does really help me. Like, if I, say for instance, with my day, if I say, right, so I've got 10 appointments a day, this is where I'm going, bump, bump, bump. This is how much money I'm going to make for the appointments. I already have it worked out in my head that if I go out today, this is how much money I need to make as a minimum. So I really focus on what I need to do to make that target on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That's where it gives me that tunnel vision that I'm going to go and do this.
Yeah.
But paperwork, I'm horrendous with. I'm lucky if I can use an iPhone. You know how bad I am with social media. But again, it's got its benefits.
Yeah.
But that's the way you need to look at it. How does this serve me in terms of the pros? What am I good at doing? Focus on that. What I'm not good at doing, I can learn, but I can also delegate tasks. I don't need to do everything myself.
Yeah. And that's a big one for business owners, delegation. But I think, listening to that, that's quite a powerful message there in regards to, you struggled to adapt to that diagnosis because you were so focused on initially on how do I fix it. And then by the sounds of things, you've changed it. You changed your mindset to how do I embrace it.
Yeah.
And that seemed to have really helped you.
Aye, but the key for me now, my mindset is no matter the problem, what is the solution?
Yeah.
And listen, you have days where everything seems to be coming at you. And you do have a wee wobble from time to time. Let's be honest, we're no superhuman. We all have wee wobbles now and then, and that's all right. That's all right. Now it is, it's okay. But it's how you find a solution. So anybody comes to me with issues in the business, for example, right, what's the solution? And 9 times out of 10 now, because I've delegated stuff, they're coming to me with, we had an issue this morning, this is what we've done to solve it, I'm just letting you know. Now, that is music to my ears.
Yeah.
Because previously, I'm the one that had to take it on, I'm the one that had to deal with the issues, I'm the one that had to think of the problem, the solutions, where my staff now are getting the solutions before they come to me, which is really, great. I'm really grateful for the staff that I've got, because they're making my life a wee bit easier.
Yeah,
which is important.
It really is, aye. In any business growth, it's so important to trust your team, but when they can take the initiative and just take that pressure at the ball for the business owner, then it just becomes so much more productive and a much more healthy environment. Plus, they get benefits as well because they've managed to, provide a solution.
But the key is allowing them to do that.
Allowing them, taking your hands away from it.
Aye, because you're thinking, I like to have control of stuff, right? And I wouldn't say I'm a control freak. It's just that I didn't trust people to do the job, and then I was taking it all on, and that's when it become overwhelming. So I've learned a lot of valuable lessons, and we'll come on to them, right? Over the time. But what I've realised is to scale the business, you need to delegate the work because it needs to run without me. And that takes time. That's not something that happens overnight. So I've got a lot of family members that work for me that I trust. Trust is everything for me. I'll come on to how my trust has been abused in the past, which had detrimental problems in the business at one point through subcontractors, which I don't use anymore. So we'll come on to that. But having a good team is important to scale.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And I told you we'd go down a few rabbit holes a day, right?
No.
So
what have I done?
I think that's really for anybody listening that maybe has a suspicion that they maybe have ADHD. I think that's a really powerful message there. And going back to this, your first sales job.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a wee bit of timeline here, isn't there? So we know that you've got Solar Dynamix.
Yes.
So what was your sort of timeline between sales job number 1 and starting your own business? And was Solar Dynamix the first business you started, or was there one before? Or?
Well, I went to, I think we should cover something else. So back then, Power Gen ended up being the top performer in Power Gen, right? I'm not saying that to blow my own trumpet, but it'll become apparent the kind of triggers in how my brain works, right? I need to be the best at something. There's no point in me even doing it, right? So, and that comes for the failure at Motherwell, especially, right? Because that was the first failure. But I think sometimes you need to fail your way through to become successful, because not every successful business owner has all been plain sailing. But back then, that was the kind of catalyst to being successful moving forward. So when I left Power Gen, so I was still playing football part-time. Was it part-time? No, it wasn't. Junior. So I used to be rapid. I used to be a winger. I was getting kicked to hell. I was like, I can't be bothered with this. So football was jacked. Back then, the big money, the good money at that point was in advertising. So it was Thomson Local and Yellow Pages that were the biggest and the best in Glasgow, right? So salary jumps, right? And I'm not talking about money to show off, and I'm not talking about money in business and all that, right? But if you're 15 grand, you were going to Thomson Local. I think it was 21 or 25 grand, and then Yellow Pages were more than that. But in order to get to Yellow Pages, which became the goal, you had to go to Thomson Local to get experience first. And that's exactly what I'd done. So I went to Thomson Local, which was selling book advertising.
Right.
And started book advertising at that time. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but the goal was to get to Yellow Pages. So over time, I went there for a year, got my experience, and then went to Yale. So Yale at that time had just started their online side of things. Because previously advertising was done in the Yellow Pages book that used to be about that thick, and the Thomson Local book. So we had been brought in to start the Yale.com side. So it was a brand new department that was opened. And I was lucky. That was one of the first people in that to start that back then. That was a good job as well. Mm-hmm. Really fruitful.
And that was selling online advertising?
Online, Yale.com and 118 24/7.
Yeah. Aye.
But that was a great job as well. I really, really enjoyed that. I became a top performer nationally in there as well. That took some time, but I done it. That was a good job. I can't say anything else.
And you've kind of, it's quite interesting because you had quite a clear goal there, didn't you? You were like, I need to get to Yale, but how do I get to Yale?
Yeah, because money became the main driver for me, as well as success. It was about how much money can I make, how successful can I be the best? That's when it really started to burn inside there. From power gen, for the start of that, it was a bit of a gamble to go into another industry. But when I look back now, it doesn't matter the industry that you're in. If you're good enough, you'll succeed. If you apply yourself enough, you'll succeed. So it doesn't matter whether you're selling sand to the Arabs or ice to the Eskimos, you're still selling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And looking at those three companies, so PowerGen, Thomson Local, Yale, all very good, strong companies back then. You spoke a bit about PowerGen. What was any takeaways for Thomson or Yale in regards to maybe how they were structured, how they treated people?
They were good companies, to be fair. With some great times, great nights out. Again, we are in that environment. There's loads of different people for different areas. Young, old. I was a young one. So I was quite impressionable back then. Maybe followed the wrong crowd at times, but you live and you learn, don't you?
So, and as you progressed in, right, there's two indicators there. One is, financial success, and then a success. So to be really successful, that is a default of the financial success. Aye. Did you ever get to that stage where you are being successful and then you had to manage other people and teams?
No.
Or did you just stay focused on, this is what I do? Because that's a big trap for a lot of people and companies to say, that person is really, really good. Let's bring them up and elevate them. Let's get that person and then teach other people how to do it. And then the company becomes more successful. But sometimes that's a complete wrong move for an individual. It
was wrong for me then.
Yeah.
I wasn't mature enough. I'd done some coaching. I was helping people be able to close deals, but even back then. But I was selfish. I was a selfish sales guy that wanted to make as much money as I possibly can and be number one. That was my goals. I wasn't interested in MDLs, and I'll be totally honest with you, because like you said, I could make more money on the phones than I could managing a team.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason why I didn't go into I wasn't mature enough, if I'm honest with you. I was only young. I wouldn't have entertained it.
Well, good for you, because a lot of people just do. Or they're maybe pressurising it to say, go and manage a team, we'll give you a better salary and stuff like that. And but some people just aren't made to manage teams. It's a completely different skill set.
I can't even manage myself.
Oh, there you go. Well, you can.
I've definitely seen people that in that mould, because through my call centre career, and you couldn't have done anything that took them away from the phones. They were just in it. That was it.
To a few people that we know.
Yeah.
Because you make more money on the sales than you would managing a team.
Yeah.
regardless of how successful the team was at that time. Obviously, I looked at it because you were saying, "Oh, can you teach my team? Can you coach? Can you do coaching?" I've done some coaching. We used to do the 1-to-1 forms and coaching forms, red, amber, green, and all that back then. I've done that occasionally, but I wouldn't have put all my eggs into being a manager. It's never managing, right? Was never in my stratosphere. It was always about being the best and making money. And to be fair, there's pros and cons to that, because obviously as you get older, you get your own business. Managing people is a challenge, because in my mindset is that what I used to find difficult is understanding why they weren't as good as me at that particular role. Now, as I said, I'm not good at a lot of things, but see, when it comes to sales, I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm talking about. But I just struggled to understand how they couldn't pick it up when I was breaking it down. But then when I look back now, it's how not everybody learns the same way that I learn. And what I've came to terms with is that in terms of sales, not everybody's going to be me. It's my business, it's my passion. A lot of people are 9 to 5, and no disrespect to them, they're coming in, they're doing their job, but they don't care. They go home at 5 o'clock. They're not really caring. They're not thinking about Solar Dynamix or any other business, because they're just coming in. They're not they're not living and breathing it. And that's what it was a challenge for me to can accept.
Yeah. It's a tough one, to be fair. Now that we've got team members, you need to juggle that, don't you? So, and you know, this is, I want to say I'm no surprised because I've known you for a number of years and I know how good you're at sales, but I still, you know, to see your trajectory of those 3 businesses early on, you know, that's quite a really good career path for somebody that, you know, wants to get into sales. When did your first business arrive in the scene? And was your first business Solar Dynamix?
Well, it was 2017, I think it was. So, I'll tell you how I get into it first, right? Pretty a long story. So, left Yellow Pages, and then I went into another industry, printer photocopiers, worst industry, in my opinion, at that time in the planet. It was a bad move for me. Done that for a few years. I was doing public sector. Now, I'm never a public sector guy. You know me, John. I'm not that kind of guy. That was like NHS contracts and all these different associations, charities and all that. But as you're in there, you were getting the churches and their charities. You weren't getting the big contracts because you didn't have experience, and quite rightly so. So it ends up, how I get into solar was, set up the business. So what I done was, I was still in the printer copier industry. I went up to sell a solar company a printer photocopier.
Right.
So, you know the guy I'm talking. I'm not going to name names, right? For various reasons. But we went and done, I sold them a printer, I was selling them a printer photocopier, and we're sitting at a desk like this. And he says, "How would you fancy a job?" I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "You could sell sand to the Arabs." That was his expression. So I was quite, got a wee bit embarrassed about that, right? Even though I know. But he said, how would you like a job? I says, what do you mean? He said, we're looking for sales guys. I says, right, okay. What's the salary? And I was asking that because my wife was pregnant. I've got my own house and all that. That was my first Amelia. So he said to me, it's no salary. I'm like, what? There's no salary? What do you mean? He said, it's commission only. I'm thinking to myself, right, okay. But in the back of my mind, right, I'd always wanted to be my own boss, right? And you're saying everything happens for a reason. Well, you were saying everything happens for a reason. That was my moment where the penny dropped, right? So that was my opportunity in my head. But say they said they would give me a guarantee for the first couple of weeks of £500 a week. but I would be selling solar, battery storage. It wasn't solar panels at that time, it was battery storage to people that's already got solar. So I went home, I said, right, I need to think about this. I said, we'll give you a car. And back then, when you were employed, you wanted a company car. That was the big driver. Company car, no wages, sold. I would be right in there, right? So ends up, goes back and spoke to Terry, and I says, look, there's an opportunity here. And she says, go for it. Because she's, apart from my mum and dad, she's the only one that's ever probably believed in us. To be honest, I'm not going to just get emotional because she has everything. So she was the one that believed us, and she says to me, go and do it, go and make it happen. So goes back to them, I'll go for it. So £500 per job you would get. They would give me a guarantee of £500 if I didn't sell anything, right? But that was never coming into question. Worked with them for two months, 3 months, selling like mad. And I thought to myself, this is my opportunity here. So I set up, I ditched them, I knew all the contacts, I knew where to get my stuff. I met a Sparky, which we'll come on to later on. Met a Sparky, and he said to me, why don't you just go and do your own thing? I says, that's what I'm going to do. So what I done was, to trial it, I set up SD sales consultancy trading as Solar Dynamix, because I wanted to know that it would work. So that wee Motherwell thing was still playing in my mind.
A bit of doubt there.
A bit of doubt. Right. There's a wee bit of doubt. Slight bit of doubt. So I ended up setting up, done a deal first day. I was like, this is going to work. So my accountant says, look, I'd advise you to either go VAT registered or change it to Solar Dynamix UK Limited. And that's exactly what I've done. And that's how Solar Dynamix UK Limited was born. That's 2018, so it wasn't long in between.
No, 2018. And that's a long time for a solar company to be around, especially nowadays. So, kudos to you. And, a sailing day one doesn't get you through the next 7 years of business.
No.
So there's got to be a lot that's went into Solar Dynamix. And just, you've got the niggling doubt. Mm-hmm. You set up. What was the first maybe 12 months like of doing your own thing?
Flying.
What was that like?
And this is the thing, right? So I used to sit at my kitchen table. I'd have my laptop. I'd have my phone. And I'd just be phoning folk. Making the appointments for myself. Going to see the customer. Selling it. And then getting the electrician to fit it.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
And the stage before that then, when you say phoning people?
Just phoning data. So people that's already got solar.
Yeah.
So I bought data, and then I would just phone these people and sell them. And then one spark would fit the stuff.
Yep.
Drive all the country fitting the stuff.
Yep.
So simple, right? And back then, your overheads were so limited. It was only me and Terry.
Yeah. And
then I would subcontract it, the battery installs. Life was so simple.
Yeah. And it's simple, right, because you've done it.
Aye.
But there's no many people that would do that would go, right, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to buy data, and I'm going to bang the phones until I get sales.
But that's what I was used to, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm used to, because that's the passion that I've got, is for selling.
Yeah.
As I said, all the other stuff can be challenging at times. But that timeline was, apart from Power Gen, I would say, was probably the most alive I've felt. Because money wasn't an issue then. It wasn't. I was only competing with myself as well to see how far I could go.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, what does this person think of me? What did they like me? Did they think I'm good enough? It wasn't about that then, because it was all based on sales and sales performance and profit that would determine whether I'm successful or not, in my mind.
Right.
It wasn't about what MD else thought.
Right.
That's when I felt free.
Yeah.
That's when I felt free.
So we just go back to that wee change then.
Yeah.
So you started working with the solar company. You went back to Terry and said, listen, this is what I want to do. She went, yep, go for it, go for it. You did that for a period of time, then something just clicked, said, I could absolutely do this myself. You know, you've seen it, this can't be that difficult. You then had that conversation with Terry again, run it past her. She was right behind you again.
Yeah.
And you just went for it there and then. With like a day or two, just made that decision.
Because I had to make it work.
Absolutely went for it.
I had to make it work.
I had to make it
what
work.
choice did I have? So Amelia was just about to be born. So talk about the wrong timing. So Terry had moved up to England. And then she was employed at the time. She worked for a healthcare compliance in a healthcare company. She was still on full time. And then Amelia was due. So kind of being a hypocrite or saying about people relying on basic wages, that was important for me at that time. So in essence, I can understand why people cling on to it. So you had to have an income. But this is where I think business owners are made. See when the shit hits the fan and the pressure's on. See the ones that step out and step up and lean in and move forward. That's the ones that will be successful. And that's really what drives me. Now, sometimes over the course of the years, it's not always been plain trajectory. There's been some major challenges and major mistakes that we've made. But you still need to have that grit, that determination, that when things aren't going your way, that you push through, because that's the businesses that will excel.
Yeah.
It's not the short-term window. Because any business can start and trade and stop trading after 1 year. You see it happening all the time in the solar industry. But it's the ones that keep going, even when times are tough. And that's where it, as much as you don't like challenging times, you feel an accomplishment when you've got through it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. And so this is 2018, right? We're 2025, soon to be 2026.
Aye.
And, you know, I just think it's powerful. You know, you want to start a business, pick up the phone. So
I still say that today. To this day, I don't have a problem picking up the phone, going to see customers, because it's not at work for me.
Yeah. Because
that's all the other stuff it is.
Yeah, that's all the other stuff.
But you got a team to do the other stuff, so.
Aye.
But to put that into perspective, and 7 years ago you picked up the phone for the first time with Solar Dynamix. How many customers have you got now, and how many installations have you done? I know I'm putting you in the spot.
I think about 2,500 customers.
2,500. So there you go, from one phone call, sitting with a laptop going, I'm going to do this,
Aye.
to 2,500 customers. I think that's amazing. I think you've done brilliant, and we'll get into...
Could be better.
We'll get into some challenges and highs and lows, but I don't know, for anyone who's sitting there going, I want to start a business, I think, pick up the phone.
Aye. Back yourself.
Yeah.
Back yourself, is because I think, see self-belief for me, and I'll come on to this in my other business, but self-belief to me will only get you halfway there, but it's important, because if you don't believe in yourself, then you're set up to fail for the start. Listen, there's been some days when I don't believe in myself, but it's just going back to why. You find your why.
Yeah.
So my why is my wife, my kids, my mother and father.
Yep.
Because that's all I've got in my life. My family, obviously, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, etc. But that's why I get up in the morning. That's why I'm so hard on myself sometimes to be successful. Because ultimately, and I've never really thought about this until recently, right? See, when you run your own business, right, and you've got, because all my staff are all employed, not self-employed, sorry. They're all employed by me, right? Their life is in my hands in terms of financially. That's a big responsibility to have. But I don't think, I've only thought about that recently.
Right.
Because, and it's not that I'm the be all and end all, but obviously having a job is important. And it's up to me to make sure that this business runs and operates so that everybody makes money. And if I decide not to work, then what impact's that going to have on everybody else? Catastrophic.
Yeah.
So that is, sometimes you kind of create little things over the years that give you that extra get up and go. because it's never plain sailing.
Nah. And let's dig into that a wee bit as well, and you know, harbouring the responsibility of having staff is a big one, right?
Yeah.
And how many staff have you got now?
16.
So you've got 16 fully employed members of staff, which is no mean feat, by the way.
Listen, that's went up in numbers and went down in numbers for various different reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
So again, just come back to picking up the phone 7 years ago, to 2,500 customers and 16 staff members. I mean, that's some trajectory you've went on.
Growing all the time as well. So we're an island now as well. So Orkney Islands was a key area for growth. Northern Ireland and also Republic Island.
Yeah.
That we can touch on later on as well. So we get some good contracts there.
And how did you know, looking at, you know, summarising 7 years is no easy, right? No. But if you could pick it, you know, let's start with the high points, like best decisions you've made over that time for Solar Dynamix, and then we can touch upon some things that didn't quite go to plan.
Best decisions I've made is starting it.
Yep.
Best decisions I've made is getting my staff.
Yeah. So going fully in-house team.
Fully in-house.
Talk to us a bit about that, because in the solar industry, it's no overly common to have a fully in-house team.
Right, I'll tell you the story behind that, right?
Right.
That's a good one. Check everything is the moral of this story, right? So that same electrician that came with me, I'm not going to name his name because I've got over it now.
Right.
Because holding resentment doesn't serve you. Karma is coming, right? So the guy came with me to sit with Solar Dynamix, and this is what I'm saying, trust. Trust is everything to me, right? But sometimes over the course of that period, I was too trusting. I didn't have enough knowledge on the application of installing the system, and I took the electrician's word as gospel. So what was happening is, Orkney had really kicked off, right? So he was looking after the roofing stuff as well. He'd roofers, so I just subcontracted it all. So this team would go up to Orkney, do all the jobs, do everything, do all the installs. I was buying all the equipment, the isolators, the fuse disconnectors, blah, 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 everything, right? They were installing it. So always rosy, doing well, brilliant, great, loads of installs, up there 10 days at a time, doing a lot of installations in the Orkney Islands, right? And then shit hit the fan. I was on holiday, loving life, right? And I got an email to say that, well, this isn't installed correctly, right? And I went back to the electrician that was doing the job. There's no isolator there, there's no this, there's no that, whatever it was, right? So then I asked for a second opinion from someone up there that I kind of got to know, and he says, no, it's not right. So Orkney being a small place, word gets round. Some of the jobs on the roof, they'd missed the joists. Issues with that. Small leaks, usual. Which I didn't know anything about, because to me at that time it was about making money, and I trusted the wrong people, and I take responsibility for this, right? Because I'm not blaming MD else, because it's my business. I should have checked it, right? That's the key. I should have checked it. I should have had my knowledge to high level to know, or go around and check the systems to make sure that they're installed correctly, right? So I take that on board, and I have to live with that every day. But there's a positive out this, right? So anyway, shit hits the fan. He sails off into the sunset. Can't be seen, can't be contacted. He's away. Don't know where he is, right? That had a detrimental effect on me. So I made the choice that I've got two choices here, right? So these customers a lot of them weren't aware that there was maybe issues. So I made the decision to step up and go and see every single customer that we'd installed. Sit down with them at a table like this and say, look, it's been brought to my attention that some jobs haven't been installed correctly. And by this time, I had to get an in-house team.
Yeah.
So I'd paid that subcontractor X amount of money per job. He was stealing from me, stealing products, selling them on the side to customers, as well as not installing them right. So, and people maybe watch this podcast will know who I'm talking about, but I'm not naming people. It's no my style. Trust me, I was going to, but I'm not.
Right, okay.
So what ended up happening, I had to sit in front of customers and see, because I sat there in front of them, and it wasn't easy, and says, look, I'm going to get another team, my other team are in-house now, to come up and check your system. Anything that's not been installed correctly will be redone, right? I save face for that, and that's how we're still doing installations up there to this day. But the local companies up there loved it.
Aye.
Because they could say, oh, this, put Solar Dynamix down, put this hasn't been installed right. But the best decision I made was to front it. Because the easiest decision would be in the company. But that's not me, I'm not a quitter. Because that was a real test of time for me, right? Probably the hardest time when you see my wife crying because what this guy had done when I trusted somebody to do the work and paid them handsomely for it. Massive learning curve. Massive. And I did hold a lot of resentment towards this guy. I did, but I found God, and I'm not holding any resentment to him. I'm not doing it. But you need to learn the lesson from it.
Yeah, it's harsh, ain't it?
Aye, but financially, it was even harder.
Yeah.
Aye, you're talking all in £1.3 million over about a year or two.
Aye.
That's a lot of dough.
To go back round the ball,
To go back round the ball.
fix.
Pay twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I done it, right? I done it, but although customers understood that it wasn't me, the buck still stops at me. And the biggest thing I can tell anybody in business is check everything.
Yeah.
Don't rely, and this is what made me not trust MD. And you know I don't.
Yeah.
And it's not the best way to be, but trust is earned. It's not given. So I'll put myself out there with people, because I'm always of the mindset that somebody's always got an agenda.
Right.
And that's something that I need to work on myself.
Well, listen, that's a massive battle scar, but you've absolutely done it.
It's huge.
Absolutely the right way, and credit to you, because as you say, many companies would just bin it, move on. You didn't do that. You faced it. You've learned, and look what you've got now.
Aye. It was a big learning curve.
Aye, and you took the hard road. So fair play to you.
To recover for that was difficult. It was a lot of money to get out.
Yeah.
And that took a long time to get back to where I was. And sometimes you're still, it's the scars that you deal with in a day-to-day basis, because something will pop up and you think, remember that time. But then if you remember that time, that's the hardest time in my business career. But the biggest lesson, harshest lesson, but do you know what? I'm glad it happened, in a way. Because you think, if I'd have continued with that person, how many other problems would I have had?
Indeed.
Yeah, I hindsight now, you're like, thankfully that bottomed out the way it did. You managed to fix it. You done the hard yards, which hard yards is probably an understatement.
But it was a good lesson.
Everything happens for a reason. That's what he said.
It does.
It
does. And you can't always have it your way. Listen, we all want everything our way. We want it on our terms. But the mighty universe, as they say, sometimes got other plans. But in that, this is when the kind of mindset really kicked in for me. I mean, I've always been striving to be the best. But see, when you're hit with challenges, right, that's when your mindset's tested the most.
Yeah.
That's when the shit hits the fan, what do? Do you sink or do you swim? because that's ultimately what life's all about. Because it's not always going to be plain sailing. We just need to take the lesson and don't do it again.
Yeah.
But we'll come on to that.
Right, okay.
So the challenging thing, and a lot of solar companies will vouch for this, business owners, is staff.
Yeah.
Installers.
Yeah.
Roofers particularly is always the challenge. Because everybody, when you're advertising for job adverts, you're looking for solar installers, roofers. It's very, very difficult to police them in terms of background information, because nobody likes to talk in this industry, I find anyway. And people say that they're good at stuff, and then you check their work and they're terrible, and then they're at the door. Right.
And how do you... So recruitment, I've spoke to you about this many a times, and John, you've probably lost count how many business owners you've spoken to. Yeah. Not just solar, but just in general, recruitment is one of the biggest obstacles for any business.
It is.
And it's especially tough in your industry.
Aye.
How do you go about that? Because you've got 16 staff there, so you've done something right. How do you overcome the recruitment challenge?
It's a difficult one. That's the biggest challenge, because mistakes in the business will be more prevalent if you don't overcome it.
Yeah.
But the beauty I've got is, see the people I've got working for me now, shit hot. I've no issues with them. They've worked with me for a long time now. But it's, see, when you try to expand for that core group of guys and girls, that's when the challenges happen. But I'm very much, if you do me wrong in business, right, or you try to take the proverbial piss, you'll no be here. Where a lot of people will think, oh, but what about that install that's booked in for next block or whatever? I'll no think that way, right? Because that pain, that scar, still sits with me. Yeah. I live with that daily, and I will cut you off, whether you're in Orkney or Ireland or wherever you are. I will cut you straight away, because I'm not prepared to go back to that happening again. Yeah. But again, being very grateful for the boys and girls I've got there now, because you wouldn't have a company without them. No. And listen, you toy with the fact, do I go down the subcontracting, do I do this, do that? I'm not going down subcontracting, I'm not doing it. Because when it's in-house, you can control the quality. But again, it's checking things and trust that's built over time. But in order to grow and take the business to where it's going to be, I need to grow in terms of various different departments in my business, install teams being one of them.
Yeah. And I'm sure every single member of your team just now either knows that story, part of that story, or they know this is the deal.
Aye, they know the script.
You're in it properly. Mm.
It's annoying for them. What's good to see is they see the heartache gets had for me, but they were also going out to fix people's mistakes.
Yeah.
But I'm just transparent and honest about this, right? Because there's no point in hiding away.
Nah.
Because there's always going to be somebody that tries to shoot you down. But see, if you're honest, they can't shoot you down. And that's maybe too honest at times, but it's better to be transparent, because there's a lesson in it. And anybody that can't see the lesson there is blind.
Yeah.
Check everything.
Aye, check everything.
Mm-hmm. That might be a recruitment challenge, but your story and your mindfulness and your vision type thing, I think could possibly be also an attraction to people joining your company in the future when you're starting to expand, because most people want stability. They want to go to work and do a really good job, a really good quality job, get paid for. A lot of people just want that, and people maybe who have lived through this industry have maybe experienced bad employees and bad companies, and they've kind of been tarnished as well. Maybe know with the battle scars as well you've got. But a lot of people. So I'm thinking your company would probably attract the right type of people because you're open, honest. This is what the job spec is. Like it or lump it, do you want to join? And you're going through that vetting process to get really good people in.
We are now. As I said, I don't do the interviews anymore.
Right.
Because I'm a sucker for an X Factor story. Honest to God, I am a sucker.
But you have some input in.
Aye, obviously. But I don't do the initial because, as I said, somebody tells me a story about their granny that's not been well, or she's got something wrong with her, or their cat's dead. I'm nearly in tears. But I've got a process in place now. There's going to be a massive recruitment drive in the new year.
Yep.
There'll be stuff going out this side of the year, as well as massive new year, because we've got plans. I'm really going to go for it next year. Really expand even more than what we have already, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Good. Well, this is a perfect point to actually start talking about what is the next phase of Solar Dynamix? So we know you've got 16 staff, 2,500 customers over 7 years. You've built a brilliant business despite that massive setback which you've got over, right? And all kudos to you for getting over that. But what's the next phase?
Well, I won a £3 million contract in Ireland. So that was a good win. That's over 3 years.
Brilliant.
So that's a good win. But it's to really expand. I've got a whole blueprint in my head of exactly what I'm going to do. But I need to put it on paper now. I need to get it out my head so Terry doesn't crack up when she thinks I've just hit her with something that's changing. But it's for me, there's a massive opportunity in solar. But there's a massive opportunity in not just solar, but how to integrate into heating. Yeah. That's because you look at that, obviously you know that the market at the minute, right?
Yeah.
There's no many people that's integrating heating and solar into the one portfolio of products.
No many. There's some, but there's no many.
There's no many.
Yeah.
Right? I know a few.
Yeah.
Right? But it's all about how many panels, what size of battery. Oh, it's 10 panels, 5 kilowatt battery. So how do you differentiate yourself from you going in to a lead that comes in from Facebook, for example, when everybody really is offering something similar, right? The only way that you're going to do that is by differentiating yourself against the competition. So why choose Solar Dynamix rather than choosing all these other companies? There's things that are coming that are going to make us stand out for the crowd. I'm not going to release that right now.
That's exciting, but I know exactly where you're coming from.
Aye.
But you're right. That's kind of a game changer type thing. It's a more complex thing, but it's very, very valuable with regards to that technology and that integration that you talked about. It's smart, right? It's a more complex sell.
Yeah.
But if somebody cracks it and gets it right, my gosh.
Because what you want to be is you want to try and be the one-stop shop here, right? Now, I've toyed with various different things that we've discussed personally, and it is tempting, but I know what I'm doing and where we're going to be, but it is being different.
Yeah.
But the thing is it's the beliefs there that I can do it. Because I've got the base of customers. That's the key, right? Now, customers are only going to buy from you again if you look after them. You can't always get it right all the time. I want to make that clear. Right? MD says that the whole processes and systems are perfect. There's very few of them, if they're honest. So we're really doing a big uphaul of our systems and our processes. I think we spoke about this.
Yeah, we did.
Because that's very, very important to scale the business.
Yeah.
Because without having these in place and operating at a high level, the scalability of the company isn't as good as what you want it to be. So that's something we're actively working on now. Terry's back from Budapest tonight, so she's in for it.
She got a list to come back to.
Oh, she's got a list, she's got a list.
But I think that's a really good point, because one thing I've known you for a while, Stuart, right? And one thing that I would say that you're really excelling is looking after existing customers. Now that big setback in Shetland's probably a good example of how you just didn't forget about them and looked after them. But Orkney, Shetland, Orkney. But even 2,500 customers in your database, you're going to see them regularly. You're touching base with them, checking in with them, servicing them, and I don't think that's common in the solar industry. No. I think a lot of it's transactional. Get your system, off you go. So I think you do a really good job with that, and I think your ambition and your systems and your processes, that's just going to. I mean, the world's your oyster, really.
It's relighting that fire. I think sometimes in business, the fire can go out a wee bit in terms of you getting lost in terms of your purpose, your vision, your purpose and your goals. That changes. And sometimes you can personally, you can get lost in the whole process until you really sit down and you narrow it down to what you actually want to achieve. And then once you know what your purpose, your vision, your goals are, you can put a plan in place to achieve them. You can't wing it all the time.
Yeah.
And you can't do everything by yourself.
No.
For this scalability bit you're talking about, right?
That
must be difficult for you, right?
That's the biggest.
You can talk about that or not, but that's going to be a difficult bit. But the scalability of your business is absolutely there, right? And you're the visionary, you're the architect.
Yes.
You've built the foundations, and something significant has to happen. And you know that, don't you?
This is where we're saying about no trusting folk, right? Because it's like, sometimes from my point of view, if I'm totally honest, see asking somebody for help, it's hardest. Yeah. To admit that you don't know is difficult for me, because that's ultimately where people have taken advantage.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the hurdle that I always need to get up against. We have had this conversation. That's once that hurdle, we're over that hurdle, sky's the limit. It's getting over that hurdle.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to scale massively. And I know exactly where it's going to be, right? And I genuinely believe that I'm going to get there, right? But it's allowing that barrier to come down in order to let the water through.
Yeah. Because
at the moment, the water's up there. It's scaling there. It's just no going over.
Right. So good. Do you know what? It's exciting. I'm excited for Solar Dynamix. I'm excited to play a small part in it as well. Where
Barry.
Our collaboration, and I think you've got so much potential there. And I don't want to get through this podcast without making a nod to what else you're up to as well.
Yeah.
Up to no good.
So as you can see with your story, you've got a real passion for sales.
Aye.
Right? And you've grown a brilliant business with Solar Dynamix through your passion of sales.
Yeah.
But talk to us, what else are you up to? Because you've got Paradigm.
Yeah.
Paradigm Sales Academy.
Aye.
Talk to us about that. Tell us what your ambitions and goals are with Paradigm.
Right, so it's quite a funny story, Barry, right? So I got a message the other day. So I set up Paradigm Sales Academy, right? Now, I want to make something very, very, very clear here. I will still be doing solar 100%.
Yeah.
Right? That's no changing, right? So I got a text message the other day for somebody in Orkney, because everybody follows your stuff and maybe social media or whatever, right? So I got a message saying, word going round Orkney is you're stopping doing solar. I says, no, that's not accurate, right? So I want to make that perfectly clear. I think it's important in life, right? Yeah, I have a passion about solar. I've got a passion about Solar Dynamix, right? But I've also got a passion about helping people, right? Helping people and sales, right? Now, Paradigm Sales Academy is to help to show people how to sell effectively, business owners, because how many tradespeople you know that are very, very skilled at what they do, but when it comes to sales, that's when it becomes challenging, right? It's exactly what we teach. So business coaching, so a lot of the lessons that I've learned and I'm still learning in business, as in structures, strategies, processes, how to set up companies, how to do this, how to do that. We help people with that, but specifically designed for trades. For trades, you know a boy that's on the programme.
Yeah.
So this particular guy, I'm not going to name him, but he's very, very good at what he does, very skilled, right? And it's a different outlook at stuff, right? So I'm probably the best guy at giving advice, but see, when it comes to taking it myself, sometimes that's where the challenge is. But it's allowing me to see a business from a different angle, because sometimes when you're in it, it's difficult to see things. But you can see routes, you can see where they can maximise profit margins. That's what I'm very, very good at, is the sales part of things, because if you just go and somebody say it's going to be 10 grand, they're going to say, 10 grand for what? Because you've not showed them, you've not understood what they're after, you've not had a structure and process to your sales process, so how are you expecting them to say yes? So I teach them the whole sales process from start to finish. That's especially what we're really, really good at. But it's doing really well. I've got a lot of people on board now. But that's a passion. That's something that I like doing.
Yeah.
But solar is at the forefront of everything I do.
Brilliant.
And I think you need to have an outlet. Because to me, the coaching's an outlet. It's like me listening to people, giving them advice, rather than it being all on me.
Yeah.
So it complements and it makes me a better person, better sales guy as well, because you can always learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's
you
got their
learn
own
from your
skills.
teaching at times, don't you?
Aye, of course.
When you're speaking to other people and other businesses, and sometimes you pick up things that they perhaps do that you can then implement. But
yeah,
you say that you're helping people, right? That was your opening gambit there. You're helping other people, because you're absolutely right. A lot of trades, and not just trades, but people who are really good and have a skill set, and develop that skill set into a business. A lot of what that is missing is sales and marketing techniques, and how to do that and how to do it properly and stuff like that, because that's not a natural thing for them.
Having the contacts as well, John. So obviously I know people that's in your lead generation like yourself. I know people who have got vans or great companies now. If somebody's coming to me and say, look, I'm looking to expand, I'm looking to do this, I'm looking to get more leads, I will only recommend somebody, not for monetary gain, right? I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
If I have had a great experience with them and it's worked well, right? So there's Jolly Media Marketing, and there's a guy with vans, Sean Cameron, brilliant, great to deal with, performance, brilliant, customer service, brilliant. And it's just having the contacts is important. That was just an example, right? I've got hundreds, but having the contacts and putting people to the right places, right, rather than going the wrong way, where I've learned these mistakes, right? Lead generation, for example, right, is a minefield. Absolutely, you know the story. I'm not even going to bring it up, but there's people out there that aren't doing the job properly, and they're charging customers thousands of pounds and they're not getting leads. Simple as that. So I don't want people to go down that path. I want them to learn for the mistakes that we've made or other people in the industry have made, to see where the best form of action is, so they're no wasting their money. That's important to me.
Yeah.
Because you could go down a rabbit hole with that.
Oh,
that's good.
Big time. But I mean, that makeup of the people you're helping with Paradigm, someone who's an amazing tradesman but suffers in sales,
There's some great people out there, by the way.
That must be
really
common. Must be really common. I think you're doing a really useful, powerful and beneficial thing with that. So
yeah, keeps me on my toes as well. It keeps you sharp, and like you said, when you're teaching or coaching somebody else, you're thinking to yourself, God, I could implement that. It keeps you accountable, which is important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, anybody who's just listened to your story can see why you're perfectly able to help them with that sales problem. And, you know, although I've known you for a number of years, I've learned loads about you today, Stuart. And, you know, thank you for sharing it all.
No problem, mate.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Really good. Very open and candid. You know,
there's no point in being anything else, is there?
That's great. Refreshing.
And I'm delighted to see how well everything's going and what the future holds for Solar Dynamix and Paradigm, mate.
Good.
So, you know,
watch
brilliant.
This space.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space.
And anybody that needs solar or needs sales help, give Stuart a shout.
Bubble.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. He's already used to his video marketing now.
Click the like button to arrange your free survey now.
Brilliant. Well, look, thanks again, mate. It's been great having you on.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.